Okay, I missed the sound of running water above my head. We have another project here, and this is one that, no, it's an instrument I don't know much about. It's a Cuban Tres, T-R-E-S. It's spelled like 3 in Spanish. And there's 3 pairs of strings on it. So it is a 6-string guitar-like instrument. It needs a bath. The complaint on the instrument has something to do with tuning. Okay, now it sounds really weird for me just to say something to do with tuning, but the owner of it, due to health complications, isn't able to talk. So we were basically, the tuners were pointed to, but all I have to do is turn it around and see this lovely stringing job, and I think it makes sense to me really quickly why this thing won't hold a tune worth a lick. So there are new strings coming in for this. I tend to be about the only person around who knows how to get them, unless you're an internet junkie, I suppose. But for people who don't use the internet, like the gent who plays this, getting strings is not easy to do. And I suppose if you're not able to communicate well due to health complications, it's difficult. So anyway, this is made by Beretta Music Company, and it's made in USA. It's got electronics in it. And it seems to be a fairly well-made instrument. And it has its own built-in tuner. I have no idea what the tuning's supposed to be. But, and the way the strings are wound around the tailpiece, that just doesn't look right to me. They're like knotted, and I don't know if that's right or not. I'm going to have to look that up. So, step 1 will just be to clean the dirt off of it and oil the rosewood and the fretboard, and there's a bunch of goo on it, so we'll clean it up. Okay, so now the strings are off of it, so I guess the next step is just to deal with it being a complete and total mess. And, I mean, this is not going to be a heck of a lot different than watching me clean the guitar from yesterday. But, actually, I should say I didn't clean that guitar yesterday, but I posted the video of me cleaning the guitar yesterday. Just put a little cleaner on it and brush the nasties out of the fretboard if need be. Which in this case, there's definitely some nasties there. Lots of brown bubbles. Fretboards are where these things get nastiest. The rest of it you can usually just use a rag and wipe the crud off. And they generally come pretty clean. That already looks pretty good. I mean, considering I don't know that much about this particular instrument, when I look at it, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, you know, being a, I guess I'd say a parlor-sized acoustic guitar, and, you know, just giving it a general look over, it looks like it's made fairly well. The action on it is really good, the neck is nice and straight, so I don't see why we can't get this issue solved. I think our issue is more of somebody not being certain on how to put the strings on, and they've broken quite a few strings, and I'm looking at the way that you would break strings on this, because I just don't see this as a string breaker's instrument. It's got a fairly nice plastic bridge, which to me, this bridge looks like it's in backwards, because it looks like it's in backwards. Okay, why do I say it's in backwards? What in the world is that stuff? Is there crud in there? That's the piezo pickup. with dirt under it. The slant for where the strings come off usually presents the knife edge on this side toward the headstock, and it was backward. So we'll correct that to what I think it should be. And if I find the intonations all whacked out or something, or the action went to pot, then I'll know that, you know, maybe I'm a doofus. And we're going to have to do a little bit of reading on this so I have an idea of what I'm actually dealing with. But this has some electronics in it. It's got a battery in it. It's got its own little built-in tuner. So, I mean, it seems to be a decent instrument. And heck, it's US made. You'd figure, do we even make stuff like this anymore? I feel like we don't make that many guitars. Well, we do. And Gibson makes some here. And everybody's raving about how much Gibson's dropped the ball lately. But I don't know. My newest Gibson is a 2015, and I don't consider that to really have dropped the ball. I'm totally happy with it. Got lots of fingerprints on this thing. And we'll hit this with a little slag of guitar polish, but looking at this back, this has got a lot of light scuffs and things on it. The front looks great. The back is a candidate for the car waxer. Yeah, that back is definitely a candidate for the car waxer. So there's some decent reflections here, but there's a lot of soft scuffs. We'll give that a quick spit polish and see in a minute. Okay, so that was like 20 seconds of polishing, and that's already like way better. A majority of the fine scratches have gone from noticeable to almost invisible. So I like that. Looks like, I don't know what the world dripped on this. Guys. Seriously, keep a cloth in your case. There was a soft case with this. It's, you know, looks like a classical guitar bag to me. There's pouches in there. You can put stuff like cloth to wipe the junk off your guitar. Okay, this took a whack because there's a little bit of a nick in the finish over there. That wasn't my doing. I didn't damage the finish on this one. And if I did, I would fix it. But I didn't. There's just grime. Yuck. Guys on your disease-ridden guitars, you always give them to me when they're dirty and nasty. And I can see why Dave's World of Fun Stuff has nothing to do but complain about you dirty, filthy musicians. Why don't you clean your gear? Seriously. Okay. So, although it ain't perfect, we're already like 400 times better than we were. We still got a truckload of grime up here. Try just to wipe that out. Get the dust rabbits out of it. Make it nice. Okay, so fretboard is a little dry, but not too bad, so do a little fretboard conditioner. Okay, this is thirstier than I had thought. This thing is like all about this fretboard oil. It's doing a magic trick, especially up here. Now down by the nut down here, it's not absorbing super fast. So I'm guessing this is probably full of finger oil or something down here. But up here, that fretboard oil is just disappearing really fast. Another dry fretboard. What a surprise. Somebody scuffed something up here. Some kind of scuff in the wood. Now it falls under not my problem. It doesn't affect the playability of the instrument. And I'm sort of tasked with just figuring out whatever the, I guess, tuning related problem is with it. Whenever I see tuning problems, the first thing I look for is how are the strings put on. And the answer was atrociously in this case. Those strings look like they still have some life in them, but we'll run them through. We'll do a little bit of string cleaner on them. And let's see if we can find anything wrong with the tuners. Let's just see here. Any loose gears, anything pulls off, pops off, wiggles around. This one's a little noisy, a little creaky, but it seems totally functional, other than being a little creaky, which these sort of classical style tuners are. We had a 70s Martin I fixed for somebody years ago that had all of these, and these screws would walk out over the years, but none of those look loose. Okay, so I'm going to chalk this up on owner doesn't know how to put strings on the guitar correctly, and that's why there's a problem. But then again, I don't know how to put strings on this guitar correctly either. I mean, the top, they would wind like a classical, but what do we do with this? These are ball end strings that were ordered and shipped. So do I slip the ball under there? I mean, dude ran the string back through the ball and made a loop. I don't think you're supposed to do that, so I'm going to do a little reading and then we'll be right back. Okay, so that was fun. After reading about it, effectively there's no definitive answer. The reason I say that is most of the ones I see photograph-wise either take the strings right through the bridge there, or if they have these rear attachments, they generally come up and then the balls actually just catch on holes that are drilled up there. So I'm definitely not a fan of the making a loop out of your ball end string. That's just that doesn't jive with me. So I'm going to undo that, and then let's see what we can do here. I got some string cleaner. These strings still have some good life in them. We just need to wipe the dust bunnies or tarnish off of them. There are more strings on order, but if I were just to put that through there, just put it through the loop, does it stay? Well, yes, it very much stays. So, yeah. So I don't see what the problem is. We can just make a hook and put it right there, and then it stays. That'll keep it there, and then it can go through the hole and go to the top. I got to make sure I got the right string order with this in terms of skinny, heavy, and everything else. You know, on most instruments, especially if you're changing the factory strings, you would just assume that the factory put the strings on correctly. But in this case, with something that's this much of a mess, are the strings on correctly? I don't know. So we're going to find out. But in the meantime, we're just going to take a little bit of our string cleaner and zip our strings through it and get all the goo off of them if we can. So let's try to. On top of that, the string cleaner smells wonderful. In terms of if you like things that smell like a chemistry set, that will probably make you happy. Alright, so yeah, let me see the string order on this, because effectively there's unwound, unwound, wound, unwound, 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 wound was what I saw on this, but I don't know if that's right, so we'll check and then we'll start. Okay, boys and girls, so we got the strings back on it, and I had to put a battery in it to make the tuner work. The string spacing seems a little weird, and I finally figured out what Buddy was complaining about. Up here, this particular tuner pops. When you turn it, it was kind of sticking and jamming in the wood, and when you turn it, it would pop. And I put a little bit of wood safe oil in there. The other thing I might think about is I probably have some like the Minwax sort of butcher's wax stuff that you can put in there that's wood safe. This does not appear to be a very expensive instrument, so we don't want to break the bank on it here, but maybe put a little butcher's wax in there, something like that, because this pin is kind of jamming up in here, so the hole isn't drilled perfectly smoothly. Now that I've just put a little bit of oil in it, it seems to be better, but if it goes back to being stupid again, what we'll do is we'll pull this assembly off when we change the strings the next time anyway. But I had to at least get it cleaned up and get a feel for it and see what's going on. But the standard tuning, I guess, for this is E, which that's the same as your E on your guitar. And then there's an octave E. Then these two are C's. And then these are G's. So kind of like ukulele-ish, where the low string is actually a high string. But it has an open tuning, so it plays a chord just by itself. And so I guess it does kind of make it easy just to fiddle around and make something that sounds musical. I've never played one of these in my life, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but that sounds a lot more musical than it sounds a lot more musical, for the first time picking it up than it does with a normal guitar. So, what to do? I think the plan of attack, I'm going to post this video as is, because I'll talk to Buddy here and see what we want to do, because we have to discuss costs here. Right now they're not into it much, just a bath and some minor adjustments, which is, very cheap. But when the new strings come in, which is probably in a day or so, what we can do is we can take... Well, the other thing I want to do is I want to see if this holds tune overnight. What we'll do is we'll restring it, and we'll take the tuning pegs off here, and we'll get some butcher's wax and stuff back in there to keep these things moving in there, so they're not binding. But that's all it looks like. So, hooray! So this seems like a cool instrument. You can look them up. There's other people on YouTube that play them, and they obviously know what they're doing. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it sounds kind of cool. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. So this is a Cuban Tres, I assume it's a Spanish pronunciation, so it'd be Tres, just like it is in Spanish on Sesame Street. But, yeah, I guess I'm about the only person in town that's willing to take something like this on. We don't have a lot of luthiers around here. There is a guy that's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, who's really good, and he does make a trek to a county away. So for serious issues, I generally go to him. But for the locals around here, general guitar repair is something I can help you with, or at least try to help you with. And seems like this is not going to be a huge undertaking. But the weird thing is the string spacing on this, because this bridge is specifically drilled for this, but it seems like these two are closer together than that one. That's the way it is. It's the way it appears to be made. I don't know if that's an error or if that's the way it's supposed to be. Anyway, I can talk about this forever because I I kind of know what I'm doing at this point. I just learned how to tune the dumb thing. But anyway, have a great day. We'll see you soon.